when I started this channel, I wanted to do it under the guise of 100% transparency. Now, when it comes to a lot of content creation about moving overseas or traveling full time, not that I think anybody's really doing it on purpose, but there can definitely be some misconceptions taken about the reality of it. And honestly, a lot of the things you see or may think are probably not how it really is. How you doing, guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the always sunny and hot as hell Jomtien Beach. Right now I'm actually on my way to, I guess in all technicality, a business meeting. Just kind of wild to think about. I don't know if I've ever had like a legitimate meeting with someone. As you can tell, I wore my formal best. But along the way, I've got a few things that a lot of people might be taking from the whole YouTube and even Instagram world when it comes to traveling or visiting certain places. Now, I'm not gonna put any creators on blast or anything like that. I really don't think anybody's doing it on purpose. But if you're planning on traveling overseas for the first time, or maybe even making a move to a new country, I think there are a few things that you should know, a few realities about going to new places or living in a new country. Let's go. Now, this video or any of these points are by no means supposed to serve as a deterrent to keep you from traveling. If it's something you want to do, I think you absolutely should. This is just to kind of give you a little bit more perspective, so maybe some things aren't quite as shocking and you have a little better idea of what to expect. So our first one, this kind of really has to do with Southeast Asia particularly. There is kind of a rhetoric out there that Southeast Asia is so cheap that you can kind of just show up, spend all the money you want, and you don't have to pay attention, especially if you're making a Western income still. Now, short and sweet, that's not true. I have a video I posted recently that goes into a lot more detail, so if that's something you're interested in and haven't seen that yet, jump back and check that out. But that one, it's not true. A big one you get a lot, especially on Instagram. Sometimes it's not too bad with YouTube videos. When you see a lot of these places that are just like these otherworldly avatar landscapes, a lot of the time you're really just getting one angle. If you flip that camera around 180 or in any other direction besides that frame, really, it's probably not all gonna look like that. If you're from America and you've ever been to LA, one good comparison is Hollywood. If you've never been to Hollywood and you've seen pictures of the Hollywood sign or the Walk of Fame, you could have this idea of Hollywood is all glitz and glam. And if you've been there, you know that's not the case. Well, that's not to say these images and these places that you're seeing aren't beautiful in their own right. It's just a safe bet that 9 times out of 10, it's not all gonna look like that. Now, one thing that I'm really not crazy about, and I really don't like it when people do it, when it comes to moving overseas, some people kind of word everything or kind of frame everything to be like, oh, well, you don't need to worry about it. The hardest part is just getting there, and once you're there, you're all good. The idea that moving overseas is just easy and you don't really have to do anything, you just have to book a ticket and go. Now, in a nutshell, I guess that's kind of true, but even if you are a kind of seat of the pants person, like I like to be a lot of the time, there are gonna be logistical things to moving, especially. You're gonna have to deal with visas, you're gonna have to deal with housing, and this is gonna be different everywhere you go, especially if you're planning to go to multiple countries. This is something that's never gonna go away, and it's gonna be something that you have to figure out and deal with all the time. If you're hopping from country to country, you're gonna need new visas, you're gonna need to find new places to stay, you're gonna have to figure out contracts for stuff, you're gonna have to figure out banking, and a lot of this does get more difficult when you are overseas. There's a lot of things that we just do at home that we kind of take for granted, especially if you've never left the country. I know it was a big deal for myself. You do all this stuff in your day-to-day in America or wherever you're from, and you kind of just forget that it might be different where you're going, and then getting there, figuring it out, it can be stressful at times. And even if you're just kind of a show up and figure it out type person, there's gonna be logistical things that you have to take care of no matter what type of traveler you're trying to be. So just hopping on a plane and going, realistically, it's not that easy. Now, one that I deal with all the time, and you will know if you've watched enough of these videos, when you're on the go all the time, obviously you're gonna deal with logistical issues. And a lot of the time as creators, we only wanna show you the good stuff. We don't wanna be negative Nancy's on camera. A lot of the time it just makes for a shitty video, so we don't wanna put it out there. But obviously when you're always moving, you're always in the airport, you're always in hotels, things are gonna go wrong. And sometimes we'll hop on the camera and try to act like, oh, well, it's not that big a deal, it just went wrong, it's whatever. But really, sometimes this can be really frustrating and stressful. If you've ever done any traveling, even domestic, you'll know if you're hopping around enough, you're gonna deal with canceled flights, you're gonna deal with showing up to hotels and them not having your booking. Now, if you just got off a 35-hour flight and you're in a country where nobody really speaks your language and you don't know how to get around and your phone doesn't work yet because you haven't gotten a SIM card, things like this can be super stressful. So this idea that, oh, since you're traveling, you're living the dream and it's all peachy keen and everything is always fun. Yes, of course you should make an effort to take things in stride and not let it ruin your day, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't stress you out or that it's just not fun or that you're pissed. It's totally normal. So especially when you're figuring out a new country, things are gonna go wrong. You're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have good days. Just hopefully you have more good ones than bad ones. Now, one that I've caught myself doing quite a few times, unfortunately, is having this idea that everywhere you go is gonna be better or you're gonna like it more than X place. Now, if you really think about it, of course that's not true. There's places you don't like to go in your home country. There's things you don't like to do in your home country. So if you're traveling, obviously that's gonna be the same, right? You travel enough, or even if you're hopping around in a country, you're gonna stay at hotels you don't like. You're gonna go to places you don't like. And that's all right, things are different for everybody. But the biggest thing I've taken from this is when you see all these people going to some place, or you see all these people saying that, oh, this is the one place you have to go to. That doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna align with what you wanna do. You might get there and you might not be stoked about it, but that's okay. And the one that I probably dislike the most, honestly, out of all of these is this idea that everywhere you go, everything you do, as long as you're traveling, you'll be completely fulfilled. I'll tell you right now, if you're unhappy at home where you are, traveling might not necessarily fix that. Now, a lot of the times we watch these videos and we live vicariously through these people traveling, and you think to yourself, oh, well, if I could just get on a plane or if I could just be on that beach, all my problems would be solved and I would just be good to go every day. Now, thinking realistically, that's probably not true. Now, while I do agree that traveling can definitely bring you some happiness and fulfillment in certain aspects of your life, if you're lacking in others, I don't really think it's gonna change that much. And another part of this, no matter where you are, no matter how much you like a new place, for the most part, you're gonna miss something from home. Whether that be food, of course you're gonna miss your family and your friends, you're gonna miss birthdays, you're more than likely gonna spend holidays alone. Your family or your friends are not gonna be able to make it out and visit you, or you're not gonna be able to go home every single time. So even when you're in beautiful places, you're on the go and you're fulfilling your dream, it's not always peaches and rainbows. Not everything is always gonna be great. There's gonna be bad days too, but that's completely normal. So if you are thinking about traveling, I would suggest just making sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. And if you are doing it to solve some type of problem or unhappiness in your life, just make sure that that's really stemming from, I guess, where you are and not other things with yourself or your life that you're discontent about. So if you're constantly on the go, or if you're moving to a new place thousands of miles away from home, is every day gonna be this amazing life story that you're gonna be able to tell your grandkids? Probably not. You're gonna have normal, boring days no matter where you go. Especially if you're moving, it's not always gonna be full tilt 100% every day doing fun shit all the time. But I think the good days are definitely worth it. And one thing you are guaranteed to do every single day is make memories. And at the end of the day, that's what life's all about.